Smart people stay poor not because they're unlucky, not because the economy's rigged against them, not because they didn't go to the right schools. They stay poor because intelligence without discipline is just expensive ignorance. You can have a 140 IQ and still be broke at 50. I've seen it 1,000 times. Engineers making $85,000 a year with negative net worth. Doctors pulling $200,000 who can't cover a $5,000 emergency. Lawyers billing $300 an hour who live paycheck to paycheck. Smart people stay poor because they're smart enough to justify every stupid financial decision they make, but not disciplined enough to stop making them. It's like watching someone run full speed on a treadmill, convinced they're making progress because they're sweating. The effort is real. The movement is an illusion. They're burning energy, burning calories, burning years of their life, but they're ending up in exactly the same place they started. That's the cruel joke about intelligence and money. Being smart makes it easier to lie to yourself. You can rationalize the new car lease as necessary for your professional image. You can explain the $3,000 vacation as investing in experiences. You can justify the bigger apartment as building your network in a better neighborhood. It's all garbage, but you're smart enough to make it sound reasonable. People love to believe that intelligence equals wealth. That if you're clever enough, strategic enough, educated enough, the money will just follow. They graduate with degrees from decent schools, land jobs at good companies, make respectable salaries, and assume they're on the path to financial security. They see their income and think that's wealth. It's not. Income is what you make. Wealth is what you keep. Then they forget that knowing how money works and actually doing what money requires are two completely different things. Completely separate universes. A man making $75,000 a year understands compound interest. He's read The Millionaire Next Door. He can explain the math behind index funds. He knows the 401k match is free money. He's listened to every personal finance podcast, but he's got $18,000 in credit card debt at 23% APR, a $40,000 car he's leasing for $550 a month, $600 in subscriptions he forgot he signed up for, and exactly $2,400 in his 401k, despite his company matching up to 6%. He knows better. He can quote Warren Buffett. He's just not doing better. Not even close. That's the difference. Knowledge without execution is just entertainment. You're not building wealth, you're collecting facts to impress people at dinner parties. Facts you'll never actually use to change your situation. People love to talk about financial literacy like it's the missing piece. Like if people just understood investing, just learned about budgets, just took the right course from the right guru, everything would magically change. Their lives would transform. Then they forget that Americans already know they shouldn't carry credit card debt at 24% interest. They know they should have an emergency fund. They know they should save for retirement. They know the company match is literally free money they're leaving on the table. They still don't do it. 95% of them don't do it. Not because they're stupid, not because they weren't taught, because intelligence doesn't fix character flaws. Intelligence doesn't create discipline. Intelligence just makes you better at explaining why you didn't do what you knew you should do. That's the cruel joke. Smart people have better excuses, more sophisticated rationalizations. The dumb guy who's broke says, "I don't know, I just spent it." The smart guy who's broke gives you a 30-minute explanation involving market conditions, temporary setbacks, strategic investments in his career, and how he's really playing the long game. Same result. Better story. I'll pay off the cards next quarter when I get my bonus. Next quarter comes, the bonus gets spent on something else, and the cards are still maxed out. I need the nice car for my image as a professional. Nobody you're trying to impress cares what you drive. I'll start investing seriously once I hit 6 figures. You hit 6 figures, your expenses rise to match, and you're still broke, just with a bigger number on your W-2. Meanwhile, they're 42 years old with $8,000 in their 401k and a lifestyle that requires every single penny of their $90,000 salary just to maintain. One layoff destroys them. One medical emergency bankrupts them. One bad quarter and they're selling everything just to keep the lights on. That's not wealth. That's a house of cards built on a paycheck that could disappear tomorrow. When I was young, back before most of you were born, I saw men lose everything in 1929. Not just any men. PhDs from Yale and Harvard. Successful businessmen running major operations. People who could quote economic theory in 3 languages and explain market dynamics better than most professors. They lost it all. Everything. Fortunes built over decades, gone in weeks. Not because they were stupid. Because they were smart enough to think they were smarter than the market, but not disciplined enough to sell when they should have. Intelligence told them to hold, to wait for the recovery, to average down, to be contrarian when everyone else was panicking. Discipline would have told them to get out, take the loss, preserve capital, live to fight another day. Intelligence lost them everything. The smart play was obvious in hindsight. In the moment, intelligence convinced them they were making the right move. You think being smart protects you. It doesn't. It just gives you more sophisticated ways to screw yourself. More complex rationalizations for decisions that are still stupid at their core. The reason smart people stay poor is brutal but simple. They optimize for looking successful instead of being successful. They confuse the appearance of wealth with actual wealth. They build the facade without the foundation. They need the house in the nice suburb, the one that says, "I made it," to everyone who drives past. The $50,000 SUV in the driveway, because that's what successful people in their industry drive. The private school for the kids because public school is for people who couldn't make it. The family vacations to destinations that photograph well on Instagram. The whole package that signals to everyone watching that they're winners. So they make $120,000 a year and spend $118,000. Sometimes $122,000. They're house poor, car poor, lifestyle poor. Trapped by their own need to look rich. One layoff away from catastrophe. One medical emergency from bankruptcy. One car transmission from selling jewelry. But they look good. They look like they made it. That's what matters, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. But here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to look rich is the moment you can actually start becoming rich. The moment you stop performing wealth is the moment you can start building it. The doctor driving a 10-year-old Honda Accord and living in a house half the size he could afford. He's building real wealth, maxing out retirement accounts, building investment portfolios, creating actual financial security. The lawyer with the $90,000 Mercedes and the 4-bedroom McMansion he can barely afford. He's building a prison. The prison looks nicer. It impresses the neighbors. It photographs better. It's still a prison. He's trapped serving the debt on his lifestyle. That's what smart people don't understand until it's too late. The chains you buy yourself are still chains, even if they're gold-plated. Maybe especially if they're gold-plated, because then you can't even see them clearly. The first trap smart people fall into is lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, you immediately upgrade your life. New apartment, nicer car, better restaurants, premium everything. Organic groceries, the fancy gym, better neighborhoods, higher rent. You go from $60,000 to $85,000, and somehow you're still broke at the end of every month, just with nicer stuff around you. Same stress, same paycheck-to-paycheck anxiety, just in a better zip code. I saw engineers at tech companies do this every single time. Every promotion meant a bigger apartment closer to downtown, more rent, more exposure, better address. Every bonus meant a better car, newer model, more features, higher payment. They climbed the salary ladder from $70,000 to $95,000 to $130,000 over 8 years and stayed exactly as broke as they were at the bottom. Exactly. Same checking account balance, same stress, same inability to handle an emergency, just with a better view and a nicer couch. You know what they didn't have? Savings, emergency fund, investments worth mentioning. Because every extra dollar, every raise, every bonus got immediately absorbed into the lifestyle. They were smart enough to earn more but too undisciplined to keep any of it. Too focused on looking successful to become successful. That's why intelligence without discipline is just high-income poverty. You're poor, you just have nicer stuff while you're poor. The second trap is keeping up with the Joneses. Smart people are particularly vulnerable to this because they're competitive by nature. They see their colleagues, their neighbors, their college friends doing well and feel pressure to match them. Pressure to prove they're just as successful, just as accomplished, just as worthy. New kitchen renovation, European vacation, kids in expensive activities and camps, the country club membership, the nice watches, the expensive dinners, the whole exhausting performance of success. They don't see the credit card debt behind the renovation. They don't see the second mortgage funding the lifestyle. They don't see the fact that the Joneses are drowning, gasping for air, one bad quarter from a complete collapse. I saw lawyers in major firms pull $180,000 to $220,000 a year compete with each other on who had the nicer everything. Cars, watches, country club memberships, private schools, vacation homes. A constant arms race of consumption. Every single one of them was over-leveraged and miserable. Every one. Making huge salaries and living in quiet desperation, trapped by debt they took on to impress other people who were also drowning in debt. You can't keep up with people who are broke. You just end up broke alongside them, wondering why you're so smart and still so poor. Wondering why the degree and the job and the intelligence didn't translate into actual security. The third trap is the "I'll start later" mentality. Smart people think they have time. They'll get serious about retirement savings after they pay off the student loans. They'll invest seriously after they buy the house. They'll build an emergency fund after they take this one vacation. After the wedding. After the kids are a bit older. Later never comes. Never. There's always another excuse, another reason to delay, another thing that seems more urgent than building wealth. Always something more pressing, more immediate, more important. I saw people in their 30s making $70,000 with zero saved for retirement. Zero. I'll catch up in my 40s when I'm making more. Then in their 40s making $95,000 with $15,000 in retirement accounts. I'll catch up in my 50s. I'll work longer if I have to. Then in their 50s panicking because they're 15 years from retirement with less than $100,000 saved, no plan, and the realization that they're going to be working until they're 70 if they're lucky. Time is the only leverage that doesn't discriminate. Rich or poor, smart or stupid, educated or not, we all get the same 24 hours, the same days, the same years. The difference is what you do with them while you have them, whether you use them or waste them. $1 invested at 25 is worth exponentially more than $1 invested at 45. Not because the market treats you better, because you gave it 20 more years to compound, 20 more years to grow, 20 more years to work. That's the leverage smart people throw away while they wait for the perfect moment to start. While they wait to catch up later. The perfect moment was 10 years ago. The second best moment is now. But they'll wait another year, and then they'll really get serious. The fourth trap is the complexity trap. Smart people overcomplicate everything. It's in their nature. They spend 6 months researching the perfect investment strategy. Comparing expense ratios on index funds down to the basis point. Analyzing real estate markets in 12 different states. Reading books, listening to podcasts, building spreadsheets. Meanwhile, they've got $2,000 sitting in a checking account, earning literally nothing because they haven't decided on the optimal allocation yet. They're so busy optimizing they forget to start. So focused on the perfect strategy that they never implement any strategy. I saw people do this with everything. Too smart to just put $500 a month into a simple S&P 500 index fund because what if there's a better strategy? What if small cap value outperforms? What if international diversification is essential? What if they should be doing factor investing? So they do nothing. And nothing compounds into nothing. 0 times anything is still 0. Meanwhile, the person who just started, the person who picked something reasonable and began, is 10 years ahead of them. Not because they were smarter. Because they were less stupid about starting. Perfect is the enemy of done. Smart people wait for perfect. Rich people start with good enough and adjust as they go. The fifth trap is debt denial. Smart people are really good at justifying debt. Masters of rationalization. Student loans are good debt. It's an investment in human capital. The car loan is only 4%. That's basically free money in this environment. We needed the bigger house for the kids. It's an investment in their future. Everybody has a mortgage. That's normal leverage. But debt is still debt. It's still money leaving your account every single month that could be working for you instead of against you. It's still a claim on your future income. It's still a weight around your neck that limits every decision you make, every opportunity you could take, every risk you can't afford because you're servicing debt. I saw people making $85,000 with $60,000 in various debts. Car loan, credit cards, personal loans, student loans, furniture financing. They'd explain how each one made sense individually, how each piece was justified, reasonable, but together they were drowning, slowly, steadily, unavoidably, paying $200 a month just in debt service before they even started living. You can't build wealth with half your income going to service debt you took on to look successful. You're just renting the appearance of success while staying broke. Paying interest to maintain an illusion. That's why smart people stay poor. They're intelligent enough to rationalize anything, but not disciplined enough to do what actually works. Not humble enough to do the simple, boring things that create wealth. Here's the difference between you and the rich. Here's the line that separates the two worlds. They have capital that works while they sleep. You don't. That's it. That's the whole game. Capital is leverage. Real leverage. Not the fake leverage of debt where you borrow money to spend on depreciating assets. Real leverage where your money is working, producing, generating more money without your effort. When you have $500,000 invested averaging 10% returns over time, that's $50,000 a year you didn't lift a finger to earn. Didn't trade your time for. Didn't sell your labor for. Your money went to work. It clocked in. It produced results. It pulled its weight. Now compare that to someone making $75,000 a year who spends $73,000 and manages to invest $2,000. Their 10% return is $200 a year. $200, barely enough for a nice dinner, not even a car payment. Same percentage return, 10% in both cases. The market didn't discriminate, the math didn't change. The person with capital is getting 50 grand in passive income. The person without capital is getting lunch money. One has an army of dollars working for them, soldiers on the battlefield. The other has a skeleton crew. That's what wealth looks like. It's not the salary, never was. Salary is active income, trading your time for money, trading your life, hour by hour, for dollars. Capital is passive, making money while you're doing literally anything else, while you're sleeping, on vacation, sitting on the couch, watching TV. The smart person without capital is running on the hamster wheel going nowhere, exhausted, stressed, working harder every year and ending up in the same place. The person with capital is sitting back watching the wheel spin itself, watching the money multiply. And here's the brutal part. The gap widens automatically, without anyone even trying. The person making $50,000 in investment returns saves most of it. They don't need it to live. They already have what they need. So they reinvest it, compound it. Next year they're making $55,000 passively. Year after that, $60,000. The snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger, getting faster, without any additional effort. The person making $200 in returns, they spend it, maybe on something nice, maybe on bills. Either way, it's gone. Zero compound effect, zero snowball. The same tiny return next year, and the year after that, forever. That's the cruel mathematics of wealth. Once you have it, it gets easier. Exponentially easier. Before you have it, it's almost impossible. You're pushing the snowball uphill, grinding, struggling, barely making progress. The rich get richer not because life is unfair, not because the game is rigged, because money multiplies itself when you have enough of it to matter. Below a certain threshold, you're just saving. Above that threshold, your money starts earning more money than most people make working. You need to cross the threshold. Get to the critical mass where the math starts working in your favor instead of against you. Below the threshold, you're trading time for money forever. Above it, your money starts working harder than you ever could. Longer hours, no vacation, no complaints. That's the line. That's what smart people never cross because they spent 30 years looking rich instead of building the capital that actually makes you rich. There's a moment in building wealth that feels almost supernatural, like something shifted in the universe. Like you crossed into a different dimension where the rules changed. It's the day you check your investment account and realize you made more from your investments this month than from your actual job. More from capital than from labor. More from money working than from you working. Until then, you're grinding. Saving $800 a month feels like pulling teeth. Watching your coworkers buy new cars and take trips while you're driving a paid-off 2015 Corolla and staying home. Missing weddings and bachelor parties because you're investing instead of spending. Every dollar is a battle. Every month is a fight against the urge to give up and just live like everyone else. The discipline feels pointless. The sacrifice feels stupid. You question everything. What's the point? Why am I doing this? Everyone else seems happy spending. Then one day you're at $300,000 invested. Took you 12 years of consistent saving. The market's up 4% this month. You made $4,200. Your salary is $5,500 after taxes. You're 43 years old and something clicks in your brain. Your capital is pulling its weight now. It's not decoration anymore. It's not some abstract future retirement thing you'll access when you're 65. It's an employee, a reliable employee, a soldier on the battlefield generating results, a machine humming in the background generating money month after month. And you realize you've crossed the line. You're not broke anymore. You're not even middle class anymore in the traditional sense. You're building real wealth, the kind that changes everything, changes how you think, how you sleep, how you see risk. The capital starts to whisper to you, not literally, but you feel it. Keep feeding me. I'll keep working. We're a team now. You keep saving. I'll keep growing. We're in this together. That independence is what changes psychology forever. For the first time in your adult life, you're not worried about losing your job, not paralyzed by it. You could take 6 months off, a year. You could walk away from a toxic situation because you don't need any single paycheck to survive. You have options, real options. For the first time, you're not an employee playing financial defense, terrified of every unexpected expense. You're an investor playing offense, making decisions based on what you want, not what you're forced to do by circumstance. That's the transformation smart people never reach because they spent 20 years climbing the lifestyle ladder instead of building capital. Because they optimized for looking successful instead of being successful. Because intelligence without discipline is just expensive ignorance. But here's the warning, and this is important. Crossing the line doesn't mean you won. It means you're finally in the game, and smart people screw this up too. Maybe especially smart people because they think they figured it out. They hit $200,000 invested, and they celebrate by buying the luxury car they always wanted. The BMW, the Mercedes, the thing they denied themselves for years. $60,000 of capital turned into a depreciating asset because they earned it. Or they quit their job before they have enough. Hit $250,000 and decide they're done. Going to travel. Live free. Except they're pulling 6% a year from a portfolio that's not big enough to sustain them. Watch it dwindle. Watch their freedom disappear. Or they get arrogant and start making stupid speculative bets. Think they're smart enough to day trade, or pick individual stocks, or time the market, or put money into cryptocurrency because their coworker made $50,000 last year doing it. I saw people do this, build $400,000 carefully, methodically, over 15 years of discipline. Then lose half of it in 18 months day trading because they thought they were smart enough to beat professionals. Thought their intelligence would translate to market timing, or spend $80,000 on a boat because we earned it, we deserve to enjoy some of this. Then watch the $320,000 that's left grow slower because the compound curve got broken, the momentum got killed. Or stop investing entirely because they thought they were done, thought they'd made it. Coast from here. Except inflation erodes. Life gets more expensive, the target keeps moving, and 5 years later they're back to struggling, wondering what happened to their security. You're never done. Never. The moment you think you're done is the moment you start going backwards. The moment you stop swimming is the moment you start sinking. The cruel truth is this. Building wealth requires discipline. grinding, saying no 10,000 times. Keeping it requires humility, staying humble, remembering that the market doesn't care about your intelligence. Growing it requires patience, decades of patience, compounding patience. Screw up any of the three and you're back to zero faster than you can imagine, back to broke, back to the beginning, wondering what happened, how it all fell apart. And don't fool yourself about this part. Going from $300,000 to zero is faster than going from zero to $300,000, way faster. One bad year of stupid decisions, and you've erased a decade of discipline. One divorce, one bad business investment, one stretch of arrogance, gone. Why smart people stay poor is brutal and simple. They stay poor because intelligence tells you what to do, but discipline makes you do it. Intelligence is theory. Discipline is practice. And most people, no matter how smart, don't have the discipline to execute consistently for decades. I said it before and I'll say it again. You can be brilliant and broke. The two aren't opposites. They coexist all the time, in the same person, in the same life. High IQ, negative net worth. It's not rare, it's common. But it's discipline, not intelligence, that you have to develop. Discipline is the muscle that matters, the only muscle that separates comfortable from desperate. Intelligence helps. It makes things easier to understand. But discipline makes things happen. Nobody can build wealth with zero savings. Nobody. Not with intelligence, not with strategy, not with the right books. You need money going into investments consistently. That's the raw material. Without it, you have nothing to build with. Nobody can build wealth if they're spending every raise. If every increase in income means an equal increase in spending. If lifestyle inflation eats everything. The math doesn't work, never has, never will. Nobody can save you if you're financing a lifestyle you can't afford. Not a financial advisor, not a better job, not a side hustle, not luck. You're trapped until you cut the spending, until you break free from the need to look successful. It's not about reading more books, not about finding the perfect investment strategy, not about waiting for the right opportunity to appear, not about timing the market, not about getting lucky with the next big thing. It's about discipline. That's it. That's the whole secret. The boring, unsexy, unglamorous secret that nobody wants to hear. Live below your means, significantly below, not at your means, not pushing the limit, below, with room to breathe, room to save, room to invest. Save the difference, automatically, before you see it, before you can spend it. Pay yourself first, every month, without fail, without exception. Invest consistently, in boring index funds, in things you understand, not in excitement, not in stories, not in get-rich-quick schemes, in steady, reliable, boring growth. Avoid debt like it's poison, because it is poison. It's poison dressed up as opportunity, as leverage, as smart financing. It's still poison. It still kills your ability to build wealth. Repeat until you have capital that works for you, until your money is making money, until you cross the threshold where the math starts working in your favor. Simple, brutal, unforgiving. No shortcuts, no hacks, no secrets. Just discipline applied consistently over decades. If you can't do this, nobody can help you. Not me. Not a financial advisor. Not a book. Not a course. Nobody. Because the problem isn't knowledge. It's execution. And only you can execute. If you can do this, if you have the discipline to save and invest consistently despite every temptation to spend, you'll build wealth that changes everything. Not in a month, not in a year, not in 5 years, in a decade, maybe 2, maybe 3 if you started late or started small. But you'll get there. The math guarantees it if you don't quit, if you stay disciplined, if you keep feeding the machine month after month, year after year, regardless of what the market does, regardless of what your friends are buying, regardless of what you think you deserve. People love to overcomplicate building wealth. They want the secrets. the insider information, the hacks, the special strategies that the rich use. They think there's some special knowledge the wealthy have that they're missing. Some trick, some angle. There isn't. There never was. The rich just did the boring stuff consistently while everyone else was spending money trying to look rich. They saved $1,000 a month for 20 years instead of upgrading to the luxury apartment downtown. They drove used cars that were paid off instead of leasing new ones. They invested in boring index funds instead of taking expensive trips to Europe every year. They were disciplined when everyone around them was impulsive, patient when everyone around them wanted instant gratification. That's it. That's the whole secret. There is no secret, just discipline applied over time. Just compound interest doing what compound interest does when you give it enough time and enough capital to work with. Most people won't do it, can't do it, don't have it in them. That's why most stay poor, wondering why their intelligence didn't translate to wealth, why their degree and their job and their salary didn't create security, why they're still stressed about money despite being smart, despite doing everything they thought they were supposed to do. Intelligence without discipline is just potential you never realized, knowledge you never applied, theory you never practiced. It's nothing. It's worse than nothing because it makes you think you should be doing better, which makes the failure even more painful. But if you have humility, patience, and discipline, you can make it. Those three things. Not intelligence, not education, not connections. Humility to accept that you're not special and need to do the boring basics. Patience to let time do the heavy lifting through compound growth. Discipline to keep executing even when it feels pointless. And when you do make it, when you cross the threshold and your capital starts pulling its weight, you'll look back and realize the only thing standing between broke and wealthy was your willingness to delay gratification while everyone around you was spending. Your willingness to look poor while building rich. Your willingness to be disciplined while everyone else was impulsive. So here's the bottom line. Stop being smart about money and start being disciplined with money. Stop reading books about wealth and start building wealth. Stop planning to invest someday and start investing now. Track every dollar. Know where it goes. Know what it's doing. Save before you spend, not after. Before. Pay yourself first. Invest like a machine, same amount, same day, every month. No exceptions, no excuses. No, just this once. Live like you make half what you earn, not like you make what you earn, not like you make what you hope to earn. Half, with margin, with buffer, with room for life to happen without destroying you. Because until you have capital working for you, you're not even in the game. You're not even playing. You're just another smart person with opinions about wealth and zero wealth to show for it. Another intelligent person making good money and staying broke. Another high earner with nothing to show for it but debt and stress. And if you're still trying to look successful instead of be successful, I can't help you. Nobody can. You're going to stay broke until you break that addiction, until you kill that need, until looking rich matters less than being rich.